The crystal chandeliers of the Riverside Grand Ballroom cast bright light across hundreds of faces, and every single one of them was staring at me. The envelope hit my chest before falling to the marble floor with a sound that seemed louder than the string quartet that had stopped playing. My husband Trevor stood 3 feet away with his arm around a woman I'd seen exactly twice before, and both of them wore matching smiles that made my stomach turn. "Divorce papers, Naomi," Trevor announced, his voice carrying across the silent ballroom. "I'm done pretending we have a marriage worth saving." The woman beside him, Simone, held up her phone. The small red light in the corner told me everything I needed to know. She was recording this. Recording my humiliation for whatever social media platform would give her the most attention. I bent down slowly, picked up the envelope, and met Trevor's eyes. 8 years of marriage, and I barely recognized the man in front of me. His navy suit was new. So were his shoes. The watch on his wrist cost more than our monthly mortgage payment, and I knew for certain I hadn't bought it for him. "You're doing this here?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "At a charity event?" "Simone and I believe in living authentically," Trevor said, pulling her closer. She preened under his touch, flipping her hair for the camera. "We're not going to hide our love just because it makes you uncomfortable. Besides, everyone here needs to know the truth. You've been holding me back for years, Naomi. Living in that mediocre house, driving that old car, never wanting to take risks." Simone finally spoke, her voice sweet as poisoned honey. "Trevor deserves someone who matches his ambition. Someone who understands success." She gestured to herself with a manicured hand. "I own 3 businesses and an investment portfolio that would make your head spin." My best friend Jordan appeared at my elbow, her hand gripping my arm. "We're leaving," she whispered urgently. But I couldn't move. I stood there looking at Trevor, remembering the man who'd promised to love me through everything, and tried to find him in this stranger's face. The ballroom buzzed with whispers growing louder by the second. Camera phones appeared throughout the crowd. By tomorrow morning, this moment would be everywhere. "Nothing to say?" Trevor taunted. "That's typical. You never had vision, Naomi. You never wanted more than your little comfortable life." Simone showed me what I was missing. Real success. Real partnership. Real passion. "I'm filing for half of everything," he continued, counting on his fingers like I was a child who needed help understanding. "The house, your car, your savings, that small inheritance you got. You can keep your job at the community center since it barely pays anything anyway. Simone and I are building an empire, and I need capital to invest." Simone laughed high and bright. "We're going to be so happy, babe. Without dead weight dragging us down." The crowd gasped. Even for this spectacle, that comment crossed a line. But I saw what Trevor couldn't. I saw how Simone's eyes calculated everything. How she assessed the ballroom, the guests, the potential social media engagement this video would get. She wasn't in love with Trevor. She loved what she thought he could give her. "Are you finished?" I asked quietly. Trevor blinked, apparently surprised I wasn't crying or begging. "Yeah. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. Don't try to fight this, Naomi. You'll lose." I tucked the envelope under my arm and straightened my green dress. My mother raised me to keep my dignity no matter what, and I wouldn't let Trevor take that from me too. "Then I guess we're done here." Jordan and I walked toward the exit, my heels clicking against marble with each measured step. Behind us, the crowd erupted in conversation. Ahead, the double doors seemed miles away. My face felt hot, my hands cold, and somewhere deep in my chest, something that felt like my heart was cracking into pieces. But I kept walking. Head high, shoulders back, exactly like my grandmother taught me. If Trevor wanted a show, he'd gotten one. Just not the ending he expected. The night air hit my face as we stepped outside, and I finally let myself breathe. Jordan guided me toward her car, speaking in low, comforting tones I couldn't quite process. My phone buzzed constantly in my clutch. Messages probably. People who'd witnessed the disaster, offering sympathy or asking questions. I ignored all of it and stared at the envelope in my hands. Tomorrow I'd open it. Tomorrow I'd read whatever lies Trevor's lawyer had written. Tomorrow I'd start the process of legally ending my marriage. Tonight I just needed to survive the falling apart. Sunlight streamed through my bedroom window, bright and merciless. I'd barely slept, spending most of the night staring at the ceiling while my mind replayed Trevor's words on an endless loop. The envelope sat on my nightstand, still unopened. Looking at it made my chest tight. My phone showed 47 missed calls and over 100 text messages. Jordan had stayed until midnight, making sure I ate something and didn't do anything rash like call Trevor and scream at him. Not that I'd wanted to. The shock had worn off somewhere around 3 in the morning, replaced by something colder and sharper. Anger. I picked up my phone and scrolled past messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years, all suddenly concerned about my well-being or hungry for details. One name stood out. Isaiah Cross, my business attorney. His message was simple: saw what happened. Call me when you're ready. I pressed dial before I could change my mind. Naomi, Isaiah answered on the first ring, his deep voice calm and professional. How are you holding up? I've been better. I sat up, pulling my knees to my chest. I need you to look at something. The divorce papers? How did you know? It's all over social media, Isaiah said gently. That woman posted the video. It's gotten about 200,000 views already. My stomach dropped. Of course she had. Simone was probably counting her new followers right now, thrilled with the engagement. Can you come over? I need legal advice and I don't want to do this over the phone. Give me an hour. I showered and dressed in comfortable jeans and a blue sweater, pulling my natural hair into a high puff. My reflection looked tired but determined. Good. I needed determined right now. Falling apart could come later. Jordan arrived first, carrying bags from my favorite breakfast place. You need to eat, she announced, unpacking containers of eggs, fruit, and fresh juice. And then we're going to figure this out. Isaiah's coming over, I told her, sitting at my kitchen table. Trevor wants half of everything. That man has lost his mind. Jordan's hands moved expressively as she talked, her passion making me smile despite everything. He throws divorce papers at you in public, humiliates you on purpose, and then expects you to just hand over your stuff? Absolutely not. The doorbell rang precisely 1 hour after my call. Isaiah stood on my porch in casual slacks and a crisp red shirt, his leather briefcase in one hand. At 6'2" with rich brown skin and intelligent eyes, he'd always been handsome. But right now, I only cared about his legal expertise. Thank you for coming, I said, letting him inside. Isaiah nodded at Jordan, then settled into my living room chair. Let's see what we're dealing with. I handed him the envelope. He pulled out the papers and started reading, his expression neutral. Jordan sat beside me on the couch, her presence comforting. Minutes passed in silence while Isaiah reviewed each page. Finally he looked up. This is aggressive. Trevor's asking for half the house, half your savings, half your retirement account, and half the value of your car. He's also requesting spousal support. Spousal support? Jordan nearly shouted. He makes more money than Naomi does. That's what it says. Isaiah flipped to another page. His petition claims you held him back financially and emotionally. He's arguing that your lack of ambition prevented him from reaching his full potential, and now he needs support to establish himself properly. I laughed, but it sounded bitter even to my own ears. That's ridiculous. I work full-time at the community center coordinating programs. Trevor's a real estate agent who makes decent commissions. About that, Isaiah said carefully. I'm going to need full financial disclosure from both of you. Bank statements, investment accounts, property titles. Everything. If Trevor wants to play hardball, we need to be prepared. My heart started beating faster. This was the moment. The secret I'd kept for 6 years, the one Trevor never bothered to discover because he never paid attention to what I did with my time. Isaiah, there's something you need to know. He leaned forward, his full attention on me. The properties, I said quietly. The ones I've been buying and flipping under my maiden name. Trevor doesn't know about them. Isaiah's eyes widened slightly. How many properties are we talking about? 12. Well, 11 now. I sold one last month. I stood and walked to my home office, returning with a folder I'd kept locked in my desk. I kept everything separate. Used my inheritance from Grandma Rose as seed money, reinvested all the profits. Trevor thought I was just doing a hobby, messing around with real estate classes and renovation projects. Jordan stared at me. Naomi Sterling, are you telling me you've been secretly building a real estate portfolio this entire time? Not secretly. Just privately. I handed the folder to Isaiah. Trevor never asked details. When I talked about properties, he'd tune out or make jokes about my little projects. He had no idea how much they were worth. Isaiah opened the folder and began examining documents. His eyebrows rose higher with each page. Naomi, some of these properties are in premium locations. This penthouse downtown, this building in the Arts District. What's the total value here? Around 4 million, give or take. The portfolio generates about $30,000 a month in rental income, more when I flip something. The silence in my living room was absolute. Jordan's mouth hung open. Isaiah looked at me with new respect, his professional mask slipping for just a moment. Trevor has no idea, Isaiah said slowly. None. And he wants half of your community center salary and your 10-year-old car. That's what the papers say. Isaiah started laughing. It started as a chuckle and built into genuine amusement. Naomi, this is the best news I've heard all week. Trevor just made a massive mistake. 6 years earlier, I sat in Grandma Rose's lawyer's office, holding a check for $300,000. The inheritance shocked me. I knew she'd been careful with money, but I had no idea she'd saved so much. Your grandmother wanted you to have freedom, the lawyer explained. She specified in her will that this money was yours alone, not marital property. She wanted you to build something for yourself. I remembered that conversation as Isaiah spread my property documents across my coffee table. Trevor had been at a real estate conference that weekend, the same conference where he probably first met Simone, though I didn't know it then. He came home and barely asked about the lawyer meeting, just assumed I'd gotten some sentimental jewelry. Tell me how this started, Isaiah said, his pen poised over his legal pad. I took a real estate investing class at the community college, I began, settling into the memory. Just for fun, or so I thought. But the instructor talked about building wealth through property and something clicked. I started researching, learning everything I could about property values, renovation costs, rental markets. Jordan shook her head in amazement. I remember you spending every evening on your laptop. Trevor used to complain that you were ignoring him. He was usually watching sports or out with clients, I said. He didn't actually want my attention. He just didn't like that mine was elsewhere. My first property was a small duplex in an up-and-coming neighborhood. The seller needed a quick cash buyer, and I offered asking price with a 30-day close. Trevor noticed the money leaving our account only once. What's this $20,000 withdrawal? He'd asked, frowning at our bank statement. Investment, I'd said simply. In what? A property project. Don't worry, it's separate from our regular savings. He'd shrugged and gone back to his phone. That was the extent of his curiosity. In Trevor's mind, his career was important and mine was a cute hobby. He never bothered to ask follow-up questions about my projects or attend any of my property viewings. When I talked about renovations or rental agreements, his eyes glazed over. So I stopped mentioning it. I kept my maiden name, Sterling, on all property documents. Legally, Naomi Sterling owned these assets, not Naomi Patterson. I consulted with a lawyer early on to make sure everything was properly structured. The inheritance money was separate property by law, and any assets purchased with it remained separate as long as I didn't commingle funds. I never did. Every dollar from my property ventures went into a separate bank account Trevor didn't know existed. Every profit, every rental payment, every successful flip. I reinvested most of it, buying more properties, renovating smarter, building something real. This brownstone, Isaiah said, pointing to one document. You bought this for $200,000 and it's now worth $800,000? The neighborhood changed fast, I explained. I saw the potential early. Bought it, did a full renovation, divided it into 4 luxury apartments. The rental income alone pays for 2 other mortgages. And Trevor never noticed you disappearing to manage properties? I told him I was volunteering extra hours at the community center or meeting Jordan for dinner. He never checked. I felt a pang of something that wasn't quite sadness. Honestly, I think he was relieved when I was gone. Gave him more time with his phone and his mysterious late-night client meetings. Jordan touched my hand. Those meetings were probably with Simone. Probably, I agreed. But that's his loss, not mine. Isaiah made notes rapidly. This separation of assets is going to be key. Trevor's petition assumes all your wealth is tied up in the house you share and your modest salary. He has no idea you're worth millions. What happens when he finds out? I asked. That depends on his lawyer, Isaiah said. Discovery will require you to disclose all assets. When they see the full picture, they'll realize Trevor's entitled to exactly nothing from your portfolio. Will he try to claim part of it anyway? He can try. But the law is clear. Separate property remains separate unless you intentionally mixed marital and separate funds, which you didn't. Your grandmother's inheritance and everything you built from it belongs entirely to you. Relief flooded through me so strong I felt dizzy. So the house, my car, my regular savings, that's all he can touch? Even that's not automatic. We'll argue that since Trevor earns more than you do, he doesn't need spousal support. The house can be sold and proceeds divided, or you can buy him out. The car is old enough that its value is minimal. Your regular savings are modest. Trevor's walking away with very little. Jordan let out a whoop of joy. That woman Simone thinks she's getting a rich man. Wait until she finds out Trevor's broke. Actually, Isaiah said, flipping through his notes. I'm going to recommend we investigate Trevor's finances too. If he's been spending marital funds on his girlfriend, that's a problem. We can argue he's been dissipating assets, which means he owes you money. I thought about Trevor's new watch, his new clothes, the expensive restaurants he'd supposedly been taking clients to. Simone's smug face as she filmed my humiliation. Do it. Find everything. I'll need access to your joint accounts, credit card statements, anything with both your names. I'll get you everything tonight. Isaiah packed up his papers and stood. Naomi, I'm going to be honest with you. This case is going to get ugly. Trevor embarrassed you publicly, and when he realizes he's not getting what he wants, he'll get nasty. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the last 8 years. How I'd made myself smaller to make Trevor feel bigger. How I'd celebrated his successes while he dismissed mine. How I'd built an empire in secret because my own husband couldn't be bothered to pay attention to my dreams. I'm ready, I said firmly. Trevor wanted a divorce. He's going to get one. Just not the way he planned. 3 days after the gala, Trevor's lawyer sent a formal letter to Isaiah's office. I sat across from Isaiah's desk while he read it aloud, his voice tight with controlled anger. Your client is being unreasonable and vindictive, Isaiah quoted. Our client has been more than fair in his initial petition. However, given Mrs. Patterson's refusal to communicate, we are revising our demands. Revising up, I assume? I said dryly. Way up. Isaiah scanned the page. Trevor now wants 60% of the house value, claiming he contributed more to the mortgage. He wants your car despite its age, says he needs reliable transportation. He's requesting 70% of your savings and retirement accounts, and he's added a demand for $10,000 a month in temporary spousal support during the divorce proceedings. That's more than I make in a month. I'm aware. Isaiah set the letter down. He's trying to force you into a bad settlement. Make you so financially desperate that you'll agree to anything just to end it. My phone buzzed with a text message. Jordan's name flashed on the screen along with a link. You need to see this. I clicked the link and found myself on Simone's social media page. Her follower count had tripled since the gala video. The most recent post showed her and Trevor standing in front of a luxury car dealership, both holding champagne glasses. The caption read, "Celebrating new beginnings with my king. When you level up your life, everything gets better. Some people are content with mediocrity, but we're building an empire. Stay tuned for major announcements about our real estate investment company. Success loves speed." Comments flooded below the image. Most congratulated them or called them inspirational. A few questioned the timing and taste. I noticed Simone responded to every positive comment but blocked or deleted anything critical. She's treating your divorce like a business opportunity, Isaiah observed, reading over my shoulder. That's exactly what it is for her. I scrolled through more posts. Simone had created an entire narrative where she was the ambitious woman who saved Trevor from a dead-end marriage. She posted motivational quotes about knowing your worth and refusing to settle. Each post got thousands of likes. Is this legal? I asked. Can she just post about our divorce publicly? Unfortunately, yes. You're not in the video yourself, and she's not making specific defamatory claims. It's in poor taste but not illegal. My phone rang. Mom's name appeared on the screen. I'd been avoiding her calls since the gala, not ready to hear the disappointment in her voice. But I couldn't put it off forever. Hi Mom. Naomi Patricia Sterling, why am I finding out about your divorce from my church friends instead of from you? My mother's voice carried that particular tone that transported me straight back to childhood. I was going to call you. I just needed a few days to process. Process? Baby, that man humiliated you in front of half the city and you need to process. She made a sound of pure disgust. I never liked Trevor. Too smooth, too concerned with appearances. But I thought he at least had some decency. Clearly I was wrong. Mom, I'm handling it. I have a good lawyer. Isaiah Cross? Your grandmother's lawyer's son? That's good, he's sharp. But Naomi, are you okay? Really okay? I felt my throat tighten at the genuine concern in her voice. I'm getting there. It hurts, but I'm also angry and that's helping. Good. Stay angry. Angry gets things done. Sad just gets you used. Mom paused. Your grandmother would be proud of you, you know. The way you walked out of that ballroom with your head high. That's sterling family strength right there. I'm trying to remember that. Don't try. Know it. You come from a long line of women who survived worse than a cheating husband. You'll survive this too and you'll come out stronger. After we hung up, I felt fractionally better. Mom had that effect. She could make you feel like you could handle anything with pure determination and stubbornness. Isaiah's phone rang. He answered, listened for a moment, then put it on speaker. My investigator has preliminary findings on Trevor's finances. You're going to want to hear this. A woman's crisp voice came through the speaker. Mr. Cross, I've reviewed the last 2 years of credit card statements from the joint accounts. Trevor Patterson has spent approximately $90,000 on expenses unrelated to family needs. Expensive dinners always for 2, hotel rooms, jewelry purchases, weekend trips. The pattern starts about 18 months ago and increases in frequency 6 months ago. 18 months. Trevor had been cheating for a year and a half. My stomach turned over. There's more, the investigator continued. He took out a personal loan 3 months ago for $50,000 using the house as collateral. That money went directly into an LLC registered to both him and Simone Blake. The business, Patterson Blake Investments, appears to be inactive. No revenue, no legitimate business expenses. He used our house to fund a fake business with his girlfriend? I couldn't keep the shock from my voice. That's what it looks like. I'm still digging, but this loan is a problem. It's attached to the marital property without your knowledge or consent. Isaiah's expression turned sharp. That's fraud. Naomi, this changes everything. Trevor's not just asking for your assets. He's been stealing from you and putting your house at risk. What do? We go on offense. Isaiah started typing on his computer. I'm filing a motion for emergency relief. Trevor's going to be required to pay back that loan immediately, account for every dollar spent on Simone, and explain why he shouldn't be held in contempt. His demands for spousal support just became laughable. Will this stop the divorce? No, but it will stop Trevor from controlling the narrative. He embarrassed you at that gala. Now we're going to embarrass him in court. My phone buzzed again. Another post from Simone. This time it was a professional headshot with the announcement, excited to announce my partnership with Trevor Patterson in our new venture, Patterson Blake Investments. We're accepting high-net-worth clients interested in luxury real estate opportunities. DM for consultations. They were recruiting investors for a company funded with stolen money from my house. The audacity was almost impressive. Send me that link, Isaiah said grimly. We'll add it to the evidence. Simone's about to learn that social media posts lie forever, especially in divorce court. Isaiah's investigator, a woman named Rachel Torres, arrived at my house the following Monday with 3 banker's boxes full of printed documents. She was short, stocky, with silver-streaked black hair and the kind of sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mrs. Patterson, I've been doing financial investigations for 15 years, she said, spreading papers across my dining room table. Your husband is either the most arrogant man I've ever investigated or the dumbest. Possibly both. What did you find? I asked, sitting down across from her. Rachel pulled out a highlighter and started marking documents. Trevor has been sloppy. He used your joint credit cards for everything. Jewelry purchases at stores that specialize in engagement rings, hotel rooms charged during times when he told you he was at real estate conferences, dinner reservations at romantic restaurants. She showed me receipts, each one a small knife to whatever remained of my feelings for Trevor. A $3,000 bracelet purchased 2 weeks after our 7th anniversary, which we'd celebrated with takeout because Trevor said he was too busy for a nice dinner. A weekend at a luxury resort during the time he told me he was visiting his sick uncle. The pattern is consistent, Rachel continued. Every expense is for 2 people. Trevor didn't even try to hide it. He kept digital copies of everything, probably for tax purposes, never thinking you'd see them. What about the loan on the house? That's where it gets interesting. Rachel pulled out another stack of papers. The loan was approved based on fraudulent information. Trevor forged your signature on the application. My head snapped up. He forged my signature? Clear as day. I compared it to your actual signature from other documents. It's not even close. Trevor's handwriting trying to look like yours. Isaiah, who'd been listening quietly, leaned forward. That's a felony. Several felonies, actually. Bank fraud, forgery, maybe identity theft depending on how the prosecutor wants to charge it. Rachel's smile was grim. Trevor put the loan proceeds into the LLC account he shares with Simone. They've spent about $30,000 so far on, and I quote from their expense reports, business development. What does that mean? I asked. Fancy dinners, a leased luxury car, designer clothes, a down payment on office space that they never actually moved into. Rachel showed me photos from Simone's social media. Every post, every story, every image is funded by money stolen from you. Jordan, who'd been sitting silently in the corner, finally spoke. Can we get her charged too? Simone had to know that money wasn't legitimate. That's harder to prove, Rachel admitted. She can claim she believed Trevor when he said he had the funds. But it definitely makes her look bad, and bad optics matter in divorce court. Isaiah gathered the documents into organized piles. Here's what we're going to do. First, we file a police report about the forged signature. That starts a criminal investigation. Second, we file an emergency motion in divorce court to freeze all joint accounts and require Trevor to repay the loan. Third, we demand full accounting of every dollar Trevor spent from marital funds. What will that accomplish? I asked. It puts Trevor on defense. Right now he thinks he's in control. He humiliated you, made demands, got his girlfriend to paint him as the victim of a terrible marriage. This flips the script. Suddenly he's the one facing fraud charges and financial misconduct accusations. Won't this make him angry? Absolutely. Which is why we're also filing a restraining order based on his aggressive behavior at the gala and his pattern of financial abuse. Isaiah pulled up a form on his laptop. Trevor threw papers at you in public, verbally berated you, and has been making threatening statements through his lawyer. That's enough for protective measures. My stomach twisted. I don't think Trevor would hurt me physically. Maybe not. But I'd rather be cautious. The restraining order just means he can't contact you directly or come to your house. All communication goes through lawyers. It protects you and creates a legal record. Rachel started packing up her documents. I'll keep digging. If Trevor's been this careless with the obvious stuff, there's probably more we haven't found yet. Give me another week. After she left, I sat at my table staring at the evidence of Trevor's betrayal. Each receipt, each forged document, each lie. The marriage I'd thought we had never really existed. Trevor had been living a completely different life while I'd been building my business and assuming we were partners. Are you okay? Jordan asked softly. I feel stupid, I admitted. How did I not see this? 18 months, Jordan. A year and a half of lying, and I never suspected anything. Because you trusted him. That's not stupid. That's normal. Trevor's the one who broke that trust. My phone buzzed with a notification. Another post from Simone, this one showing her and Trevor at a rooftop bar with the caption, "Living our best life with the best partner. Never settle for someone who doesn't celebrate your wins. Grateful every day for this upgrade." Upgrade? She called leaving me an upgrade. Let me see that, Isaiah said, taking my phone. He screenshot the post and saved it to his evidence folder. Every post like this helps us. It shows consciousness of guilt and establishes their relationship timeline. Keep monitoring her social media and send me anything relevant. I should probably stop looking, I said. It just makes me feel worse. Your feelings are valid, Isaiah said gently. But try to channel them into determination. Trevor thinks he won. He thinks he got the better deal. We're going to prove him very, very wrong. That night, alone in my house, I walked through the rooms Trevor and I had shared. We'd bought this place 6 years ago, excited about our future. I'd picked out the paint colors, chosen the furniture, made this space a home. Now it just felt empty. I thought about my properties, the ones Trevor didn't know about. The penthouse downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows. The renovated brownstone with its original hardwood floors. The small apartment building that generated steady rental income. I'd built all of that while Trevor was busy building lies. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Naomi, it's me. Trevor's voice, familiar and strange at the same time. We need to talk. You're not supposed to contact me directly. Talk to your lawyer. Come on, don't be like that. I just want to have a civil conversation. Civil? You threw divorce papers at me in public, Trevor. You posted videos of it online. There's nothing civil about that. Simone got carried away with that. It wasn't my idea. He sounded almost apologetic. Look, I know you're hurt, but this doesn't have to be messy. Just agree to the settlement and we can both move on. The settlement where you take most of my savings, my car, and $10,000 a month? That settlement. You're being dramatic. I need those things to start my business with Simone. The business you funded by forging my signature and stealing $50,000 from our house? The words came out cold and sharp. Yeah, Trevor. I know about that. Silence on the other end. Then, who told you that? Documents don't lie. Unlike you. Naomi, I can explain. Explain to the police. And to the judge. And to Simone when she realizes you're broke and facing fraud charges. Do not call me again. I hung up and immediately called Isaiah to report the contact violation. My hands shook but my voice stayed steady. Trevor had pushed me around emotionally for years, making me feel small and unimportant. Not anymore. This was war and I intended to win. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of clarity. The fog of shock and hurt had lifted, replaced by something sharper. Purpose. Trevor wanted a divorce and he was going to get one. Just not the way he imagined. I called my mother and asked her to meet me for coffee. We sat in a small cafe near her house, bright morning light streaming through the windows. Mom studied my face across the table. "You look different," she said. "Stronger." "I feel different." I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup. "I need to tell you something." I explained everything. The inheritance from Grandma Rose. The secret portfolio. The properties I'd been buying and renovating for 6 years. The millions Trevor knew nothing about. Mom listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from surprise to pride. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she said finally. "She always knew you had that sterling business sense. That's why she left you that money specifically. I feel bad that I kept it secret from you." "What?" "It was yours to do with as you pleased. And clearly you did something smart." Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Naomi, you're about to go through something hard. Trevor's going to fight dirty when he realizes what he's losing. You need people in your corner. I have Isaiah and Jordan. You need more than that. You need family. You need people who knew you before Trevor, who'll remind you who you are when things get rough." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling your Aunt Sandra. She went through a nasty divorce 15 years ago. She'll want to help." "Mom, you don't have to." "Hush. Family takes care of family." By evening my house was full of people. Mom, Aunt Sandra, Jordan, Isaiah, and Isaiah's paralegal spread documents across every available surface. Aunt Sandra, a corporate lawyer with silver locks and fierce intelligence, reviewed Isaiah's strategy. "This is solid," she said, tapping the legal briefs. "Trevor's lawyer isn't going to know what hit him. But Naomi, you need to be prepared. This will get ugly. He'll try to attack your character, make you look bad." "Let him try," I said. "I have documentation for everything." "That's good. But documentation doesn't stop him from lying. He'll tell people you were a terrible wife, that you drove him away, that you're vindictive and bitter." Aunt Sandra's eyes were kind but realistic. "You need to be ready for people to believe him." Jordan pulled up Simone's social media on her laptop. "She's already controlling the narrative. Look at this." Simone had posted a long essay about toxic relationships and finding the courage to leave. She never mentioned names, but the implication was clear. She painted herself as a strong woman helping a man escape an unhappy marriage. The comments section was full of support and praise. "People believe what they want to believe," I said quietly. "Trevor's telling a story where he's the hero and I'm the obstacle. Some people will always buy that version. But the people who matter won't," Mom said firmly. "The judge won't. Your real friends won't. Your family won't. Those are the only opinions worth caring about." Isaiah's phone rang. He stepped into the kitchen to answer, returning a few minutes later with an interesting expression. That was Trevor's lawyer. "He wants to schedule mediation." "Already?" Aunt Sandra frowned. "We just filed our response 2 days ago." "Trevor's scared," Isaiah said simply. "He knows about the fraud investigation now. He knows we found the receipts. He's trying to settle before this gets worse for him." "What do you recommend?" I asked. "We go to mediation, but we don't agree to anything. We use it as an opportunity to see what Trevor's willing to admit and what he's still hiding. Every word he says can be used later." The mediation was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, I focused on work and my properties. The community center had a big fundraiser coming up and I threw myself into planning. My coworkers knew about the divorce, the video had made sure of that, but they were kind. They didn't pry or ask invasive questions. One afternoon, my supervisor Carmen called me into her office. She was a round woman in her 50s with warm eyes and no-nonsense attitude. "How are you really doing?" she asked, gesturing for me to sit. "I'm managing." "Naomi, you've worked here 7 years. I've watched you grow from a shy coordinator into someone confident and capable. That man never appreciated you." Carmen leaned back in her chair. "You know what I noticed? After you married Trevor, you got quieter. Less likely to share ideas. Like you were making yourself smaller." I blinked, surprised by her observation. "I didn't realize." "I did. And I'm watching you become yourself again. It's good to see." She smiled. "Whatever you need, time off, flexible hours, someone to vent to, you let me know." That conversation stayed with me. How many other people had noticed me shrinking? How long had I been dimming my own light to keep Trevor comfortable? That evening, I visited my penthouse property downtown. I'd bought it as a foreclosure and spent 2 years renovating it into a luxury space. The current tenants, a young couple in tech, loved it and paid premium rent. I walked through the building, checking on maintenance issues and admiring the work I'd done. This was mine. I'd created this with my own vision and effort. Trevor had no part in it. He'd never even seen it. My phone rang. Jordan's name flashed on screen. Turn on Channel 7 News. Now. I pulled up the news stream on my phone. The anchor was covering a story about social media influencers and fraud. And there on the screen was Simone's face. Simone Blake, who recently went viral for a video involving her new relationship, is facing questions tonight about her business practices. Several former clients of her consulting company have come forward claiming they paid for services they never received. We spoke with one woman who says she lost $15,000. The camera cut to an interview with a tearful woman explaining how Simone had promised to help her start a business but disappeared after receiving payment. The news report showed more victims, all with similar stories. Blake has not responded to our request for comment, the anchor continued. But sources say she's recently started a new business venture with her partner, Trevor Patterson. We reached out to Patterson as well but received no response. I called Isaiah immediately. Are you watching this? Already on it. I'm reaching out to these victims to see if they'll testify about Simone's character if needed. This is perfect timing. Is Trevor legally connected to her old scams? Probably not directly. But it shows pattern of behavior. She's a con artist and Trevor's her latest mark. Or her partner in crime. Either way, it's bad for him. The next morning, Simone's social media had gone dark. All her posts about success and ambition were deleted. Her follower count was dropping by the thousands. The comments that remained were angry, calling her a scam artist and fraud. Trevor's phone number appeared on my screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called 3 more times before leaving a message. Naomi, please. We need to talk. This is getting out of control. That news story about Simone, it's not what it looks like. I didn't know about any of that. We can work this out, just you and me. Call me back. I deleted the message without finishing it and called Isaiah again. He's panicking, Isaiah said. Good. Keep him blocked. Don't respond. Let him spiral. The mediation office was downtown in a sleek building with too much glass and metal. I arrived with Isaiah, both of us dressed professionally. Isaiah wore a sharp gray suit while I'd chosen a burgundy dress that made me feel confident and in control. My natural hair was styled in soft curls, and I wore the pearl earrings my grandmother left me. Trevor was already there with his lawyer, a thin man named Robert Chin who looked exhausted. Trevor wore a suit I didn't recognize, probably another purchase funded by stolen money. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, weight loss that didn't look healthy, stress written across his face. Simone wasn't there. I'd wondered if she would show up, but apparently even she had limits on appropriate courtroom behavior. The mediator, an older white woman named Patricia Hoffman, directed us to a conference room. Let's start by establishing ground rules. We're here to negotiate in good faith. Everything said in this room is confidential and can't be used in court. The goal is to reach an agreement that works for both parties. My client is willing to negotiate, Robert said quickly. We believe this divorce can be resolved amicably if Mrs. Patterson is reasonable about asset division. Isaiah opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. Let's talk about assets. Mr. Patterson's petition claims the marriage has minimal savings and the primary assets are the shared home and Mrs. Patterson's vehicle. Is that still your position? Yes, Robert confirmed. Our financial disclosure shows approximately $50,000 in joint savings, the house valued at $400,000 with $200,000 remaining on the mortgage, and Mrs. Patterson's vehicle worth about $8,000. Interesting. Isaiah slid papers across the table. Because Mrs. Patterson's full financial disclosure tells a very different story. Trevor leaned forward, frowning. Robert picked up the documents and started reading. I watched his face change as he processed the information. His eyes got wider. He flipped pages faster. Finally he looked up at Isaiah. This can't be right. It's completely accurate. Independently verified. Mrs. Patterson owns a portfolio of luxury properties worth approximately $4 million, generating substantial monthly income. All separate property, purchased with inheritance funds and maintained entirely separate from marital assets. Trevor grabbed the papers from his lawyer's hands. What? What properties? Naomi, what is this? I met his eyes calmly. My business. The one you never bothered to ask about. You told me you were taking real estate classes. Playing around with small projects. Trevor's voice rose. You never said you owned buildings. Plural. Multiple buildings. You never asked for details. Every time I tried to talk about my work, you'd change the subject or make jokes about my little hobby. I kept my voice steady. I built this portfolio over 6 years, Trevor. 6 years of you not paying attention. Robert was speed reading through the property listings. These are premium locations. This penthouse is in one of the most expensive buildings in the city. How did you afford this? My grandmother left me an inheritance. I invested it wisely. I turned to Trevor. Remember when I went to her lawyer's office 6 years ago? You asked what I got and I said some money. You said, "That's nice," and went back to watching football. You never asked how much. You lied to me. Trevor's face was red now. You've been hiding millions of dollars. I didn't hide anything. I built a business using my own separate funds. You weren't interested in my projects, so I stopped mentioning them. That's not the same as lying. Isaiah interrupted smoothly. Mr. Patterson, your client forged Mrs. Patterson's signature to take out a $50,000 loan on their shared home. He used that money to fund a business venture with his mistress. He spent approximately $90,000 of joint funds on his affair. Mrs. Patterson has been completely transparent. Your client has committed multiple felonies. The room went silent. Patricia the mediator cleared her throat. Perhaps we should take a short break. I think that's a good idea, Isaiah agreed. Trevor followed me into the hallway as I headed for the bathroom. Naomi, wait. Please. I stopped but didn't turn around. Go back to your lawyer, Trevor. We're not allowed to talk directly. 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. His voice cracked. I made a mistake. I know that now. This thing with Simone, it got out of hand. I never meant for it to go this far. I finally faced him. You threw divorce papers at me in front of 200 people. You let your girlfriend film it and post it online. You tried to take everything from me while stealing thousands of dollars for your affair. Which part exactly didn't you mean? I was trying to impress Simone. She kept pushing me to make a grand gesture to show everyone we were serious. I got caught up in it. Trevor ran his hands through his hair. She's not who I thought she was. That news story, those people saying she scammed them, I didn't know about any of that. That's your problem, not mine. Please, can we just stop this? Forget the divorce, forget the settlement. We can go to counseling, work things out. I still love you. I almost laughed at the absurdity. No, Trevor. You don't love me. You probably never did. You loved having someone who made you feel important while she stayed small and quiet. That's over. I'll change. I promise. No more Simone, no more lies. We can start fresh. I don't want to start fresh with you. I want to finish this divorce and move on with my life. I met his desperate eyes. You wanted this, remember? You wanted out so badly you made a public spectacle of leaving me. Well, congratulations. You're getting exactly what you asked for. But the properties, the money, you have plenty. You can afford to split some with me. I'm your husband. And there it was. The real reason for his sudden change of heart. Not love. Not regret. Money. He'd found out I was wealthy and now wanted his share. I'm not giving you a penny of my portfolio, I said clearly. That's separate property built with my inheritance. Legally you have no claim to it. Your lawyer knows that. The mediator knows that. Soon the judge will know that too. Trevor's expression hardened. This isn't over. I'll fight this. Fight all you want. You'll lose. I walked away, leaving him standing in the hallway. Back in the conference room, Robert looked defeated. My client needs time to review this new information and consider his options. Of course, Isaiah said pleasantly. Take all the time you need. But I should mention we're prepared to move forward with criminal charges regarding the forged loan documents. The fraud investigation is ongoing. The longer this drags out, the worse it looks for Mr. Patterson. Are you threatening my client? I'm stating facts. Mr. Patterson committed fraud. We have documentation. The police have been notified. Whether the district attorney presses charges depends on multiple factors, including how cooperative Mr. Patterson is in these proceedings. Patricia stepped in. Gentlemen, let's keep this professional. Mr. Chin, do you need to consult with your client? Yes. Privately. They left the room. Isaiah and I sat in silence for a moment before I let out a long breath. That was intense. You did great. Stayed calm, didn't let him manipulate you. I'm impressed. I almost believed him for a second. When he said he wanted to work things out, I shook my head. But then he showed his real motivation. Classic pattern. He didn't want you until he realized what you were worth. Now suddenly he loves you again. Isaiah's expression was disgusted. Guys like Trevor make my job easy. They're so transparent. 20 minutes later, Robert and Trevor returned. Trevor wouldn't meet my eyes. Robert shuffled papers nervously. My client would like to revise his settlement demands, Robert said formally. In light of new information regarding separate assets, we're withdrawing requests for any portion of Mrs. Patterson's property portfolio. We're requesting only a fair division of actual marital assets, the home, joint savings and retirement accounts. And spousal support? Isaiah asked. Robert hesitated. We're willing to negotiate that amount. How generous? Here's our counteroffer. Isaiah slid a document across the table. Mrs. Patterson keeps her portfolio and all separate property. The house gets sold and proceeds divided 50-50 after the fraudulent loan is paid back by Mr. Patterson. Joint savings split equally. No spousal support in either direction. Mr. Patterson returns any items purchased with joint funds during his affair, or reimburses their value. Mrs. Patterson keeps her vehicle. All debts remain with whoever incurred them. That's everything, Trevor protested. I'll walk away with barely anything. You'll walk away with exactly what you contributed, Isaiah corrected. After stealing $90,000 from your wife, you should be grateful she's not pursuing maximum damages. We need to discuss this with our client, Robert said. Take your time. We have all day. Isaiah leaned back, completely relaxed. Though I should mention, every hour we're here is billable, and I charge premium rates for mediation. Just something to keep in mind. 3 days after the mediation, Jordan called me at 6 in the morning. You're going to want to see this. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the link she texted. It was a local news website with a prominent headline, Social Media Influencer Simone Blake Under Investigation for Fraud. The article detailed multiple complaints filed against Simone by clients who'd paid for business consulting services they never received. The state attorney general's office was investigating her business practices. Several victims had come forward with similar stories of paying thousands of dollars up front, receiving 1 or 2 consultations, then being ghosted when they asked for the promised deliverables. But that wasn't the interesting part. Scroll down, Jordan instructed. At the bottom of the article was an update posted just hours ago. Blake's business partner, Trevor Patterson, is also being investigated for his role in Patterson Blake Investments, which was funded through a fraudulent loan. Patterson is currently involved in divorce proceedings and faces additional charges of forgery and bank fraud. My phone immediately started ringing. Isaiah's name appeared on the screen. Good morning, I answered. Did you see the news? Reading it now. Trevor's lawyer called my office 5 minutes ago. He's withdrawing as Trevor's attorney effective immediately. Isaiah sounded satisfied. Apparently Robert doesn't want to be associated with a potential fraud case. Trevor's on his own. Can Robert just quit in the middle of a divorce? He needs court permission, but it'll be granted. Lawyers can withdraw if the client commits crimes or if the relationship breaks down. Robert probably realized Trevor lied to him about multiple things and decided to cut his losses. I thought about Trevor scrambling to find a new lawyer while facing criminal charges. Part of me felt guilty for that small flicker of satisfaction. But then I remembered him throwing papers at me, remembered his smug face as Simone filmed my humiliation, and the guilt vanished. What happens now? I asked. We wait. Trevor needs to either hire a new lawyer or represent himself. Either way, we're in a strong position. He's got bigger problems than divorce settlement now. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Simone. We need to talk about Trevor. I showed Isaiah the message. Should I respond? Absolutely not. She's either trying to manipulate you or she's panicking because her scam fell apart. Either way, no good comes from engaging with her. But Simone was persistent. Over the next few hours, she sent a dozen more messages. They started out polite, asking if we could talk woman to woman. Then they got more desperate, claiming she had information I needed to know about Trevor. Finally, they turned angry, accusing me of ruining her life and Trevor's business. Block her, Isaiah advised. Document everything first, then block. I screenshot every message and sent them to Isaiah before blocking Simone's number. But she found me on social media, sending messages through every platform. In each one, her story changed slightly. Sometimes she claimed Trevor had lied to her about being divorced. Sometimes she admitted they'd planned the whole thing together. Sometimes she blamed me for not letting Trevor be happy. She's desperate, Jordan said when I showed her the messages. The news story destroyed her influencer career. She's lost thousands of followers. Her business is being investigated. Trevor probably dumped her when the money dried up. She's got nothing left. That's not my problem. I know. But she's going to keep trying to contact you. People like Simone don't accept defeat quietly. Jordan was right. 2 days later, Simone showed up at the community center. My coworker Sarah found me in the office. There's a woman at the front desk demanding to see you. Security won't let her in, but she's causing a scene. I walked to the lobby and saw Simone through the glass doors, arguing with our security guard. She looked different from the polished influencer in her social media posts. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. When she saw me, she rushed toward the door. Naomi, please. Just 5 minutes. I shook my head and turned away. Trevor left me, she shouted through the glass. He took what was left of the business money and disappeared. I've got nothing. Lawyers, police, everyone's after me. This is your fault. I stopped and turned back. My fault? You helped my husband steal $50,000 from my house. You posted videos of my humiliation online. You tried to build a career on my pain. None of that is my fault. That's your choices. I loved him, Simone said, and for the first time she sounded genuine. I really thought we had something real. Then you know how I felt when he betrayed me. Except I was his wife for 8 years, not his side piece for 18 months. If you're looking for sympathy, you're asking the wrong person. I walked away as she continued shouting behind me. Security escorted her off the property and told her she'd be arrested for trespassing if she came back. That evening I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Naomi, it's Trevor. His voice sounded hollow, defeated. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Trevor? I know I don't deserve your help. I know I destroyed everything. But I'm asking anyway. I need money for a lawyer. The criminal charges, the investigation, I can't afford proper representation. I almost laughed at the audacity. You want me to pay for a lawyer so you can defend yourself against charges of stealing from me? It's not like that. If I go to jail, I can't pay you back what I took from the house. If you help me now, I can get a better deal, maybe avoid prison, and then I'll make things right. Trevor, let me be very clear. I will never give you another dollar as long as I live. Whatever consequences you're facing are the direct result of your own actions. Figure it out yourself. Naomi, please. I hung up and blocked his number too. Then I called Isaiah and told him about both confrontations. They're circling the drain, he said. Happens all the time in cases like this. The scam falls apart, the money dries up, reality sets in. They start turning on each other and looking for anyone to blame except themselves. It's almost sad, I admitted. Almost. Don't waste your sympathy. Trevor made his choices knowing they would hurt you. Simone helped him do it. They're adults who committed crimes. Natural consequences aren't cruelty. Over the next week, I watched the situation continue to collapse through news reports and court documents. Simone was charged with multiple counts of fraud related to her consulting business. She pleaded not guilty but couldn't make bail. Trevor was charged with bank fraud and forgery. His court date was set for 6 weeks out. The divorce proceedings moved forward rapidly without Robert slowing things down. Trevor couldn't afford a new lawyer and filed for a public defender, but those attorneys were swamped and couldn't prioritize a civil divorce case. The judge granted my petition for emergency division of assets and ordered the house to be sold immediately. Trevor moved out within a week, leaving behind most of the furniture we'd bought together. I didn't want any of it anyway. It all went to charity along with Trevor's clothes and personal items. I kept only things that had meaning to me from before the marriage. The house sold fast, a young couple eager to start their life together. I watched them tour the property with bright eyes and big plans, and felt nothing but relief that this chapter was closing. My share of the proceeds, minus Trevor's fraudulent loan that I refused to pay, came to about $80,000. Not life-changing given my portfolio, but a clean ending. Trevor got his half minus the loan payback and all the money he owed me for the affair expenses. His share came to less than $10,000. He's going to be furious, Jordan predicted when I told her the final numbers. Let him be furious. That's all he gets. The divorce was finalized on a Wednesday morning in a courtroom that smelled like old coffee and disappointment. Trevor didn't show up, represented instead by paperwork filed by whatever overworked public defender had caught his case. I sat next to Isaiah while the judge reviewed the settlement and signed the decree. Just like that, I was no longer married. How do you feel? Isaiah asked as we left the courthouse. I thought about it. Free. 1 month after the divorce was finalized, I stood in the lobby of a new property I'd just purchased. The building was a historic 3-story townhouse in a neighborhood on the verge of major development. I'd gotten it for a fair price because it needed extensive renovation, but I could already see what it would become. "This is gorgeous," Jordan said, walking through the space with her designer eye. "The bones are incredible. Original hardwood, those high ceilings, the crown molding. Naomi, this is going to be spectacular." "I'm thinking mixed use. Boutique retail on the ground floor, residential units above. The location is perfect for it." I pulled out my tablet showing preliminary design sketches. "What do you think?" "I think you're brilliant. I also think you should celebrate more. You just finalized a divorce from a man who tried to destroy you, proved he was a criminal, and walked away with millions he didn't even know existed. That deserves more than immediately buying another building." I smiled. "This is how I celebrate. Creating something new." My phone buzzed with a message from Isaiah. "Foundation paperwork is ready for your signature. Can you stop by the office tomorrow?" The foundation had been my idea, born from conversations with my mother about how my grandmother's inheritance changed my life. I wanted to help other women access similar opportunities. The Sterling Foundation for Women's Financial Independence would provide grants, education, and resources for women trying to start businesses or escape financial abuse. "I'm proud of you," Mom said when I told her about it over dinner that night. "Not just for the foundation, although that's wonderful. I'm proud of how you handled everything with Trevor. You could have been bitter and angry, but instead you focused on moving forward." "I was bitter and angry," I admitted. "I'm still angry sometimes. But I realize staying stuck in that feeling only hurts me. Trevor's already taken enough from me. I'm not giving him my peace too. That's wisdom, baby. Took me a lot longer to learn that lesson after your father left." Mom squeezed my hand. "Your grandmother would be so proud of the woman you've become." The foundation launch was scheduled for 8 weeks out. I'd rented a gorgeous event space and invited community leaders, potential donors, and women who might benefit from our programs. Isaiah helped me structure everything legally while Jordan handled the design and marketing. "You need a date for the launch event," Jordan said casually one afternoon while we reviewed invitation designs. "I'm going alone. This is about the foundation, not my social life." "Isaiah would go with you if you asked." I looked up sharply. "What? Oh, come on. You can't tell me you haven't noticed how he looks at you. The man is clearly interested and has been for a while. He's just been professional because of the divorce. Isaiah is my lawyer." "Isaiah was your lawyer." Past tense. The divorce is done. "He's free to be whatever else you want him to be." Jordan grinned. "And I've seen how you look at him too. All soft and smiley when he explains legal stuff." "I do not get soft and smiley." "You absolutely do. It's adorable." I thought about Isaiah. His steady presence during the worst period of my life. The way he'd fought for me without making me feel helpless. How he celebrated my wins and supported me through losses. Somewhere along the way he'd become more than just my attorney. "Even if I was interested," I said carefully, "it's too soon. The divorce just finalized. I need time to figure out who I am outside of being married to Trevor." "Fair enough. But don't wait too long. Men like Isaiah don't stay single forever." That night, alone in my new apartment, I thought about Jordan's words. I'd moved out of the house I'd shared with Trevor and into a 2-bedroom rental while I decided what to do next. My portfolio gave me options. I could buy a house anywhere, live in one of my properties, or stay mobile and flexible. For the first time in years, my life was entirely my own choice. My phone rang. Isaiah's name appeared on the screen. "Hope I'm not calling too late." "Not at all. What's up?" "I wanted to give you an update on Trevor's criminal case. He took a plea deal. 3 years probation, restitution payments, and community service. He avoided jail time." "How do you feel about that?" I asked. "Honestly, I think justice was served. He's going to spend years paying back what he stole, his reputation is destroyed, and he has a criminal record. That's not nothing." Isaiah paused. "How do you feel about it?" "Relieved. I didn't want to testify at a trial, relive everything in public. This way it's done and I can move on completely." "That's healthy. You've handled this whole situation with remarkable grace." "I had a good lawyer." Isaiah laughed, warm and genuine. "You had a smart client who made my job easy." "Naomi, can I ask you something?" My heart rate picked up. "Sure." "The foundation launch next month. I know I'm technically invited as your attorney, but I was wondering if you'd like to go together." "As a date, I mean?" "Not as lawyer and client. I smiled into the phone. I'd like that. Really? Because I don't want to pressure you. I know you've been through a lot, and if you need more time. Isaiah, I said yes. Right. Yes. Good. That's good. He sounded genuinely flustered, which was adorable coming from someone usually so composed. I'll pick you up at 7? After we hung up, I sat in my quiet apartment feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Oh, excitement about the future. The sense that good things were coming. My phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. So? Did you ask him? He asked me actually. Details. Now. I laughed and called her, spending the next hour dissecting every word of the conversation like we were teenagers instead of grown women. Felt good. Like normal. The next few weeks flew by in a blur of foundation preparation, property renovations, and careful first dates with Isaiah. We went to dinner, walked through art galleries, spent hours talking about everything and nothing. He was patient, respectful, never pushing for more than I was ready to give. I really like you, he said one evening as we sat in a coffee shop. I have for a while. But I want you to know there's no pressure. We can take this as slow as you need. I like you too, I admitted. But you're right, I need slow. I spent 8 years in a marriage where I made myself smaller. I need to remember how to be myself before I can be part of an us. I can work with that. I'm a patient man. The foundation launch arrived faster than I expected. I stood in front of a mirror in a gorgeous emerald dress, my hair styled perfectly, diamond earrings catching the light. I looked successful, confident, happy. I looked like myself. Isaiah picked me up exactly at 7, looking sharp in a charcoal suit. You're beautiful, he said simply. The event space was transformed with bright lighting and elegant decorations. Jordan had outdone herself. Over 200 people filled the room, community leaders and donors and women eager to hear about our programs. My mother stood near the front, pride shining in her eyes. I took the stage to give my speech, my heart pounding but my voice steady. Thank you all for coming tonight. 6 months ago, I was going through the hardest period of my life. But I had resources that many women don't have access to: financial education, inheritance money that gave me options, and knowledge about building wealth that protected me when I needed it most. The Sterling Foundation exists to give other women those same resources. We believe every woman deserves financial independence and the freedom that comes with it. We offer grants for women starting businesses, financial literacy education, legal support for women leaving abusive situations, and mentorship from successful women who've been where you are. The crowd erupted in applause. I felt tears prick my eyes but held them back. This was joy, not sadness. This was building something meaningful from pain. After the speech, I mingled with guests, accepting congratulations and discussing the foundation's programs. Isaiah stayed close but not hovering, his presence supportive without being controlling. Several women approached me sharing their own stories of financial abuse or struggle, thanking me for creating this resource. You're changing lives, one woman said, gripping my hands. Thank you. Near the end of the evening, I stepped outside for air. The terrace overlooked the city, lights sparkling in every direction. Isaiah joined me, handing me a glass of champagne. Successful night, he said. Beyond my expectations. We raised almost $500,000. That's incredible. But I meant successful for you personally. You look happy. I thought about it. I'm happy. For the first time in years, I'm genuinely happy. 6 months after the foundation launch, I stood in my newly renovated penthouse, the one I'd always loved but never lived in. The tenant's lease had ended, and instead of finding new renters, I decided to make it my home. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city spread out below, and the space reflected my taste entirely. Bold colors, comfortable furniture, art that made me smile. This was mine. Every choice, every detail. My phone buzzed with a message from Jordan. Turn on channel 4. Trust me. I grabbed the remote and switched channels. A news reporter stood outside a courthouse, and the headline made my stomach drop. Former real estate agent sentenced in fraud case. Trevor Patterson was sentenced today to 2 years in prison after violating the terms of his probation, the reporter said. Patterson, who originally received probation for bank fraud and forgery, failed to make required restitution payments and was arrested last month for attempting to sell property he didn't own. The judge called his actions a pattern of criminal behavior and revoked his probation. The camera showed Trevor being led from the courthouse in handcuffs. He looked older, thinner, defeated. Nothing like the confident man who'd thrown divorce papers at me just over a year ago. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sympathy, no anger. Just a distant sense that justice had finally caught up with him. My phone rang. Mom's number. Did you see? Just now. How do you feel? Honestly? I don't feel anything. That person has nothing to do with my life anymore. I walked to my window looking out at the city. Trevor made his choices. He's living with the consequences. That's not my story anymore. Good. That's real healing, baby. When you can let go of the anger and the hurt and just move forward. Mom paused. Have you talked to Isaiah today? Not yet. Why? No reason. Just wondering. I could hear the smile in her voice. Isaiah and I had been dating for 5 months, taking things slow but steady. He respected my boundaries, supported my goals, and made me laugh. Last week, he'd met my mother officially, and they'd gotten along so well I'd felt a brief flash of worry that she liked him better than me. The foundation was thriving beyond my expectations. We'd already given grants to 30 women and had a waiting list of applicants. The financial literacy workshops were full every month. Several women who'd received grants had successfully launched businesses and were now volunteering as mentors for new applicants. My real estate portfolio had grown too. The townhouse renovation finished ahead of schedule and already had tenants for both residential units and a boutique coffee shop on the ground floor. I'd purchased 2 more properties, including a small apartment building that needed work but had incredible potential. Jordan's boutique was expanding into a second location, and she'd asked me to invest as a partner. We were meeting next week to discuss details, and I was excited about combining our skills. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Isaiah standing there with takeout bags and a bottle of wine. I come bearing food, he announced. And I heard about Trevor. Wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I let him in and took the bags to my kitchen. It's weird, but seeing him sentenced just felt like closing a door I'd already walked away from. That's healthy. Isaiah set the wine on the counter and pulled me into a hug. You've come so far. I'm proud of you. We ate dinner on my balcony, talking about work and foundation business and Jordan's expansion plans. Isaiah told me about a pro bono case he'd taken representing a woman in a situation similar to mine, and how he'd used what he learned from my case to help her. You're making a difference too, I told him. Not just with me but with all those women you're helping for free. I learned from the best. He reached across the table and took my hand. Naomi, I need to tell you something. My heart rate picked up. Okay. I'm in love with you. I know we're taking things slow and I respect that. I'm not asking you to say it back or change anything about how we're doing this. I just needed you to know. I love you. I looked at this man who'd stood beside me through the worst time of my life and stayed to celebrate the best times. Who respected my boundaries and celebrated my success. Who made me laugh and supported my dreams. I love you too, I said. I didn't expect to. After Trevor, I wasn't sure I'd ever want to trust someone again. But you're different. You see me as a whole person, not someone to control or change. Isaiah stood and pulled me to my feet, kissing me gently. I see an incredible woman who built an empire, launched a foundation and turned pain into purpose. That's who you are. Later that evening, after Isaiah left, I sat on my balcony alone with my thoughts. My phone buzzed with notifications. The foundation's social media had posted about a new grant recipient, a single mother starting a catering business. The comments were full of support and congratulations. I thought about where I'd been a year ago. Standing in that ballroom, humiliated and hurt, while Trevor announced his betrayal to hundreds of people. I'd felt so small in that moment, so defeated. But I wasn't small. I'd never been small. I'd just been with someone who needed me to shrink so he could feel big. Without Trevor, I'd expanded into the person I was always meant to be. My phone rang again. A known number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello? Naomi, it's Simone. Her voice was barely a whisper. Don't hang up. Please. I should have ended the call immediately. But something in her voice stopped me. What do you want? I'm calling from county jail. I'm being sentenced next week for the fraud charges. My lawyer says I'm looking at 3 to 5 years. She took a shaky breath. I just wanted to apologize. For everything. The video, the posts helping Trevor steal from you. All of it. Why tell me this now? Because I'm going to prison and I need to make peace with what I did. You didn't deserve any of that. I was caught up in my own greed and ambition. I thought Trevor had money and status and I wanted those things. When I found out he was broke and had stolen from you, I was so angry. But that anger should have been at myself. I waited, saying nothing. You're probably wondering why I'm really calling, Simone continued. The truth is, I've been following your foundation on social media. From jail. I saw what you built from the situation I helped create. You turned something terrible into something that helps people. That's the kind of person you are. I just wanted you to know that I see that now. I understand what I helped Trevor try to destroy. Thank you for calling, I said finally. I hope you get the help you need, Simone. I really do. I hung up feeling lighter somehow. Simone's apology didn't change anything that happened, but it closed another door. She'd have to live with her choices just like Trevor did. The next morning, I woke up to sunshine streaming through my windows. My schedule was full. Property inspection at 9, foundation board meeting at 11, lunch with Jordan at 1, dinner with Isaiah at 7. A full, rich life built exactly the way I wanted it. I pulled on comfortable jeans and a red top, tied my hair up and looked at my reflection. The woman staring back was confident, successful, and genuinely happy. She knew her worth and didn't shrink for anyone. Good morning, I said to my reflection. Let's make today count. At the foundation office, my assistant Chloe handed me a stack of grant applications. These came in over the weekend. All strong candidates. I flipped through them, reading stories of women trying to escape bad situations, start businesses, or get education they'd been denied. Each one could have been my story under different circumstances. Each one deserved the chance I'd gotten. Let's review these at the board meeting, I said. I think we can fund at least 5 more this quarter. We're changing lives, Chloe said softly. Every day we're changing lives. That evening, Isaiah and I walked through the city, hand in hand, talking about everything and nothing. We passed the hotel where the gala had happened, where Trevor had thrown those papers at me. Do you ever think about that night? Isaiah asked. Sometimes. But it feels like it happened to a different person. I'm not the woman who stood there taking that abuse. I'm someone who built herself back up and became stronger. You were always strong. You just needed to remember it. We stopped at a coffee shop and sat outside watching people pass by. My phone buzzed with a notification. The local news app showed a headline, Sterling Foundation announces expansion to 3 new cities. Did you approve this press release? Isaiah asked, reading over my shoulder. Yesterday. We're opening satellite offices in 3 major cities. More women, more opportunities, more change. I smiled at him. Grandma Rose would love this. I think she does love it. Wherever she is, she's proud of you. As the sun set over the city, painting everything in shades of orange and pink, I thought about the journey that brought me here. The betrayal and pain. The discovery of my own strength. The building of something meaningful from the ashes of what I'd lost. Trevor had tried to destroy me to make himself feel powerful. Instead, he'd given me the push I needed to step fully into my own power. The secret he'd never bothered to discover wasn't just about properties or money. It was about who I really was underneath the role I'd been playing. I was Naomi Sterling, named after my grandmother, carrying on her legacy of strength and wisdom. I was a successful businesswoman, a philanthropist, a woman building her own empire on her own terms. I was someone who turned pain into purpose and betrayal into breakthrough. And I was finally, completely, beautifully free.